Thanks for tuning in. Hey guys, so this is a lesson for 4.4, which is on how to rearrange linear equations. And this is actually our last section in our unit 4 in the textbook, which is really our third chapter in the class. So for today, your learning goal is learning how to rearrange a linear equation into slope and y-intercept form. So you might recall from our previous unit in Unit 2, slope and y-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is represented by our slope and b is represented by our y-intercept. Your goal is also to figure out what your slope is and also what your y-intercept is. So to go forward in this lesson, something that you might recall is just simply looking at the equation for y equals mx plus b, where we need to identify what our slope is. So in this case, if we have m as 7, that means our slope is 7 or 7 over 1. And then if we have our y-intercept, this one will be positive 10. Now, this is great if it is in y equals mx plus b in that format. Where that becomes a little problematic is if it's written in this particular form. So this is actually called standard form. And standard form is written in this way, where it's ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay, so this is your base standard form. And in your base standard form, what you'll notice is everything is on the left side. Okay, and on the right side, we just have it set equal to 0. So even if we take a look at our question right above, when we had y equals 7x plus 10, so something that you'll notice is on the left side, we just have y. On the right side, we have 7x plus 10. So for this to actually look like standard form, this would mean two things would have to move. Our 7x would have to move to the left side, and our positive 10 would have to move to the left side. Now, as a recall, remember that wall method where anything that crosses over that equal sign changes its opposite operative sign. So if we have 7x plus 10 on the right side, once it crosses over to the left side, it now becomes minus 7x. It now becomes minus 10. And that plus y that didn't move, it's going to remain plus y. And now, because everything has actually moved to the left side, our right side will be equal to 0. Okay, so basically standard form is the presentation of ax plus by plus c, where all of our variables and constants are on the left side, and the right side is just set equal to 0. Okay, so to review your steps, this is what it looks like. In slope-intercept form, where y is by itself, to put the equation in slope-intercept form, we need to solve for y. Okay, so we want to isolate for y. We want y to be by itself. So, just to remind us of what our goal is, I'm just going to highlight y. And you'll notice that y is actually attached to that negative 6 that's right in front of it as a coefficient. So, for this to work, we have 3 steps that we need to work through. So, step 1, we want to add or subtract the y term on both sides of the equation. So, if this is a minus 6y, to undo the minus 6y, I'm going to add 6y to both sides. So what ends up happening is this negative 6y moves to the right side. So what I actually have left is 2x minus 6y plus 6y cancel. So I just have plus 12 is equal to 6y. Okay, so step 1 is complete. Step 2, we want to divide both sides of the equation by the coefficient of the y term. So the coefficient of the y term is the number that is in front of y. So if you take a look at what is in front of y, we have 6. So what happens is we need to divide both sides by 6. So I'm going to take what's on the left hand, divide it by 6. I'm going to take what's on the right hand and divide it by 6. You'll notice what happens on the right side. 6 over 6 does cancel, which leaves me with just y. 2x divided by 6 actually becomes 2 over 6x. And then plus 12 divided by 6 would leave me with plus 2. Okay, I can rearrange this to y equals mx plus b so that my y is on the left side. That part's just fine so that I can have a more familiar look. Now, 2 over 6 does simplify to 1/3 because I can divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. And then that plus 2 will stay. Okay, so this means that my slope is 1/3. This means that my y-intercept is positive 2. And like we saw in step 3, we want to always reduce to lowest terms, which we did in this case. Awesome. So essentially, it does always just follow those same 3 steps. Sometimes our job is a lot easier, where when we move over the y term, in this case, when we move over negative y to the right side, I actually am just left with 4x plus 11 is equal to positive y. So this means that as an equation, this is really y equals 4x plus 11, where my slope is 4, where my y-intercept is 11. So I've done 2 things. I've put it into slope y-intercept form. I've also stated my slope, or rise over run, so that would be 4 over 1. I've also stated my y-intercept, which is 11. Okay, I can do the same thing here. So I have 8x plus 4y minus 12. So once again, I'm going to bring over that plus 4y to the right side. And then to isolate for y, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. Negative 4 over negative 4 cancels. I'm left with just y. Then I'm going to do 8x divided by negative 4. So that one seems a little bit tricky because we have an x involved. Well, we'll just first divide out the coefficient. So 8 divided by negative 4 actually leaves me with negative 2. And then I'm just going to rewrite my x. Okay. Then I'm going to divide out negative 12 divided by negative 4, which actually makes positive 3. Okay, so that's y equals negative 2x plus 3, where your y-intercept and slope can be found by noticing m is negative 2, so your slope is negative 2, your y-intercept would be positive 3. Okay, and last but not least, skip C. You guys can try that one on your own. See if you can do this. Okay, and then we'll just finish up with example 2. So for example 2, I have the line 2x plus by minus 20 is equal to 0. So you'll notice this already is in standard form, where all the terms on the left side, are balanced on the left side, where what's only on the right side is 0. Now it goes through a point. So remember, a point is just x comma y. That's a point that lies on that line. Now what I want to do is I actually want to find the value of b. So this is actually very similar to your left side, right side check, where we actually substitute in a point to see what outcome we can get and to see if our left side is in fact equal to our right side, to see if we balance in our equation. Now in this case, we actually want to isolate for b. So if we sub in everything that we have, so for instance 2x plus by minus 20 equals 0, I'm going to sub in, instead of x, 4, and I'm going to sub in, instead of y, 3. So I have 2 times 4 plus b times 3 minus 20 equals 0. Easily I could do 2 times 4, which is 8. When I multiply b times 3, I get 3b, and I'll rewrite minus 20. Now what ends up happening is I can actually just bring over this plus 3b to the right side. So I'll be left with 8 minus 20, which is actually just negative 14, is equal to negative 3b. Sorry, not negative 14, I meant to say negative 12. Okay, so 8 minus 20 is that negative 12 that we just discussed. And then we brought over positive 3b to the right side. Lastly, to get b by itself, we need to divide by whatever the coefficient is. So I'm going to divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. This means b is equal to positive 4. Okay, so that pretty much is lesson 4.4, which is how to convert linear equations from standard form. It is essentially just these 3 steps. So just to review them one more time, add or subtract the y term on both of the equations, okay? Or just consider what happens when you're bringing that term all the way to the other side. It changes operative sign. Divide both sides by the equation of the coefficient. So whatever number is in front of y, you divide both sides by y. And then, lastly, distribute the division through to bottom the x term and constant terms reduce to lowest terms. Okay, so if you follow those steps, you will successfully be able to convert from standard form to slope form, which is y equals mx plus b. Please do your practice questions, and that pretty much wraps up our unit. Okay, please message me if you have any questions. Thanks for tuning in.